Finally, Bethesda's handed Fallout development to the right team. And there's actually been a huge development over the past week. So the short answer is yes. Another Fallout game is happening, and it's being made by Obsidian Entertainment, the same company that made Fallout New Vegas. But it's not officially called Fallout New Vegas 2. Here's what we know. Multiple outlets, citing Bloomberg's reporting, say that Obsidian has shifted resources away from an avowed sequel to begin on a new Fallout project. The project is reportedly being led by Josh Sawyer, who directed the original Fallout New Vegas. Bethesda has not announced Fallout New Vegas 2 right now. It's simply being referred to as a new Fallout game because Josh Sawyer and Obsidian are involved. Fans naturally think it could be a spiritual successor or even eventually be revealed as New Vegas 2. But there's been no information of that name actually. And a lot of the reasons why this is happening is because Elder Scrolls 5 is also in pre-production. And I think Bethesda wants to focus on that primarily. That being said, Fallout 5 is still years away. So there's a lot happening under the hood with Bethesda because they also announced that Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters have been announced to give people that feel again of what it used to be like. I know I would love to play something like that. A remaster of a game so legendary is something I always look forward to because you could always relive those memories. And since Microsoft and Bethesda both own Obsidian, these companies can now collaborate internally. Todd Howard has spoken positively about working with Obsidian again, something that wasn't really possible before they were under the same Xbox umbrella. So here's how the current roadmap looks. Fallout 3 remastered, Fallout New Vegas remastered, a brand new Fallout game by Obsidian led by Josh Sawyer, Fallout 5 in pre-production at Bethesda. So there's a lot going on. And if you're a Fallout fan like me, this is probably some of the biggest news we've gotten in years. So who is Obsidian Entertainment? Let me just give you an understanding of their resume because it's pretty stacked. Obsidian made Star Wars KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic 2, not the original KOTOR. Now, I was a huge fan of that original KOTOR. It had so much into it, the deep dialogue, the multifaceted skill tree that allowed you to play a certain way. It was turn-based, but not really, because I'm not a big fan of turn-based combat. It was like a mixture between real-time combat and turn-based. A little bit hard to understand, but it was so engaging. So Obsidian made Star Wars KOTOR 2. The original was made by BioWare, but KOTOR 2 is still considered one of the best written Star Wars RPGs ever made, despite being rushed out the door before fully finished. And as for Josh Sawyer, he's pretty much one of the most respected RPG developers out there. Here's his resume. Fallout New Vegas, he was the game director. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, Pentiment. He worked on Icewind Dale, he worked on Neverwinter Nights 2, and he worked on, as I said, KOTOR 2. If you didn't know, Pillars of Eternity is a critically acclaimed isometric fantasy role-playing game. It's similar to those classic RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale. I'm not going to go too much into the details of that game, but if you enjoy story-heavy RPGs such as Baldur's Gate 3 and classic C RPGs or games where your choices matter, Pillars of Eternity is still considered one of the best. However, its dense lore and large amount of reading can be intimidating for players who prefer faster-paced games. So if you didn't really notice or understand something about Josh Sawyer, he's one of those RPG developers who appreciates the storytelling of an RPG game. He's not necessarily a flashy developer. What he's known for is deep player choices, meaningful factions, and the consequences that actually matter. The strong world building and complex moral decisions without obvious good and bad answers is basically why New Vegas still has the reputation it does today. When people praise New Vegas, they're usually talking about things like the multiple ways to solve a quest or the reputation system, faction politics, and the dialogue choices that actually change the outcome of things, instead of it just being lip service, a choice to make for the sake of it being a choice to make. I remember specifically the Legion conversation I had with one of the Legionnaires, and you can actually go to their area and see that there were slaves walking around and people who were subjugated. It was such an experience when I was able to go over there, not only imagining it, but to actually go there and see that happening. The Legion were a faction loyal to the ideology of Caesar. So you can actually see this in their attire. And the funny thing is we had captured one of the Legionnaires as a prisoner to interrogate him. And I think it was the NCR. I can't remember exactly what faction I was a part of that was beefing with the Legion, but I was tasked with interrogating one of them. And this playthrough that I had in Fallout New Vegas just happened to have a very high intelligence stat. So one of the dialogue options was that I was able to speak to him in his language, Latin, gain some sort of superiority over him because he didn't expect me to actually know the language. And so I was able to get answers from him that I would otherwise not been able to because my intelligence stat was high. So after experiencing that dialogue with the Legionnaire prisoner, it made me think about how ambitious someone has to be to actually put something like that in a game. Even if you didn't know that they had their own language, it's something you simply discovered. And that's Josh Sawyer's design philosophy. So looking at it from that perspective, we have something good to look forward to, in my opinion. Compare that to Bethesda's Fallout games, which tend to focus more on exploration, the open world discovery, environmental storytelling, and more so sandbox gameplay. And you can really see that in Skyrim and games like Starfield. Those are really emphasized. And neither approach is objectively better, but many hardcore RPG fans prefer Sawyer's style because it gives players more agency. So is he a good choice? Honestly, if Microsoft and Bethesda wanted someone to lead a Fallout project that appeals to long-term Fallout fans, it's hard to think of a better choice in this matter. The bigger question is how much budget, time, and freedom does Obsidian get? Because the original Fallout New Vegas was made in 18 months, only 18 months, which is one of the reasons it launched with so many technical issues. Despite that, people still loved it. So if Obsidian gets a proper budget, a modern engine, a full development cycle, and Josh Sawyer leading it, then we Fallout fans have a legitimate reason to be excited. And this is something that I think is a realization Bethesda already knew, but couldn't really pull the trigger on. Fans have been saying this for a decade. You own Bethesda, you own Obsidian. Why are you not making a new Fallout with a New Vegas team? So it seems as though they're doing exactly that. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. I'm a big Fallout fan. I love the idea and the concept of what the game brings and just the gameplay and overall the series. Are you looking forward to this? And do you think Josh Sawyer is a good choice to lead the team? I want to hear all this in the comment section below. I appreciate you listening to the end. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoy this conversation. Subscribe to my channel for real gaming talk. I'll see you in the next one, fam.